1971, a year of great change in America. The voting age lowered to 18. The digital age began with the first microprocessors and pocket calculators. And cigarette advertising was banned from television. In Michigan, a small but passionate group of transplant surgeons met at a restaurant in the town of Brighton on October 27th.
There were only 2 or 3 transplant programs in the state. We recognized very quickly that competing for donors was not the way to go.
Concerned with developing a fair and unified way to share donated kidneys throughout the state, these pioneers would incorporate before the end of the year as the Transplantation Society of Michigan, ultimately known as Gift of Life Michigan. By the end of 1972, the organization had distributed 50 kidneys and had established a waiting list. Gerda Lipkeman, Gift of Life's first executive director, was literally the only full-time staff member. With virtually no medical background, she still managed to contact the state's hospitals and establish procedures, protocols, and connections that grew the organization well beyond the small office in Ann Arbor that served as its headquarters.
She set a tone which transmitted our enthusiasm to all of the people she hired. As a result, the organization, as it grew, was composed of people who really were enthusiastic and were in lockstep with the surgeons.
From those humble beginnings, Gift of Life grew in both staff and purpose as it became more established throughout Michigan. The organization no longer limited itself to just kidney recovery, but expanded into all organs. In 1986, this grew to include tissue donation. Gift of Life handled approximately 100 donor organs a year and found itself needing more space. Operations were moved to a former dairy in 1982, despite the concern that the 7,000 square foot facility was too large. A contingency plan was put in place to rent out a portion of the office to other businesses. That never happened. Gerda Lipkeman retired in 1992 and was replaced by Tom Beiersdorf, who stayed with the organization until 2008. Under his leadership, Gift of Life continued to flourish, developing internal systems that made the organization more effective and able to help more people. Starting in 1994, it began using the Michigan Organ Donor Registry to document a person's decision to help others. This monumental decision has been instrumental in working with lawmakers and public officials to affect policy, which in turn has given more control to organ donors and their loved ones. In June of 2008, under the direction of new CEO Richard Petrosky, Gift of Life moved into its current headquarters, a 32,000 square foot facility with a laboratory, a round-the-clock call center, and a staff of approximately 200 people, which is 200 times more than where they started.
Our growth has not just been in the number of employees, it's also been our physical plant. The size of our laboratory has actually doubled since 1983. We have established a tremendous amount of computerization capabilities, and we collaborate with our hospitals in a number of ways that really enhance what we do, but also benefit the patients that we serve.
During the last 40 years, Gift of Life has worked with the families of over 6,600 organ donors and nearly 20,000 tissue donors. The generosity of these men and women has led to the improvement of thousands of lives in Michigan, many of which were literally saved because of these gifts.
The Gift of Life was my salvation. My husband and I lost our only daughter and child, Jenny. She became an organ donor, and 6 people's lives changed. That's when Jenny's legacy began.
When I think of Gift of Life and who we are and what we represent, and I always think of us as we are a steward for that family and for that donor and for that precious gift. And they trust us.
I am tremendously grateful to my donor family because they have saved my life. And every single day that I wake up, I say thank you, God, and I say thank you to my donor family. I would not be here today without the precious gift that my donor family has given me.
By the end of 1972, the waiting list for an organ transplant in Michigan was around 100. In 2011, that number is almost 3,000, and nationwide has topped 112,000, as many people as fit in the University of Michigan Stadium. To address these growing numbers and changing needs, Gift of Life has opened its own surgical center at Straith Hospital in Southfield. This state-of-the-art facility builds efficiency into Michigan's donation process, relieves pressure on donor hospital operating rooms, and ultimately makes the process smoother and quicker for donor families. The center's success has opened up the possibility of another location on the west side of the state.
Gift of Life is investing in technologies that not only preserve the organs after they're removed from the donor, but also potentially even reconditioning them before they get transplanted. So we're trying to make organs better than what they were in the donor before they were surgically removed.
Gift of Life's mission statement is simple: to improve and extend the lives of the citizens of the state of Michigan by increasing public and professional participation in organ and tissue donation for transplantation. This is evident in everything Gift of Life has done in the state for the past 40 years and will continue to guide its actions for decades to come.